What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Marriage and Medicine. So today's video, we would like to continue our book review on financial residency.
So in chapter 3, we're talking about getting financially organized. So basically this chapter is, we haven't technically done this in full detail the way that they have.
I did.
No, if you reread it, we have not.
But
enough. What they recommend is basically, and they give you a whole list of like all the things, but you're essentially going to get all of your financial documents in order. So you're going to have a physical copy of the things on their list, as well as a digital copy, just in case something happens to the physical copy. So it's just, again, you're getting organized. You kind of make sure you know like things you're paying, important legal documents, all of that fun stuff that we don't really like to do. That's what this chapter is about. So you're going to start out basically creating what he calls a mind map of your finances. They have the example of what that looks like. And so it's basically just to help you get an idea of what your finances are looking like and trying to figure out how you want them to get better. You're going to basically write down your debt, insurances, credit cards, assets, all that stuff. And it's just going to be on this map for you to look at and kind of just see where you're at financially, maybe to get a better idea of that too, because sometimes people, especially with using cards, you're not really like carrying, you're not carrying cash. And so when you're just swiping on everything, or you have automated payments and stuff like that, it's easy to lose track of like how much money you are actually spending. So this mind map is gonna help you kind of see all of that laid out on a piece of paper to give you a better understanding of what your finances are looking like.
And in most situations, when you're coming out of residency, I understand it's going to look like hot garbage. You're going to see that you are in debt and you don't have a lot of assets, and that's normal. So don't get scared by that. Just understand that you have a location of where you're starting from. And then once you kind of get a couple years in, you're going to realize that you're making a significant dent in that. And you're getting to the other side. You're getting back to broke, as they like to say, to start off.
So once you do the mind map and you kind of get all of your, like I said, your physical copies of stuff and then your digital copies of things, they recommend after that that you go through your emails and get that organized, because they said a lot of times emails is kind of chaotic. Like people like to have a lot of unread emails, or they just go through and find stuff that they need and leave the rest in there. I'm not one of those people, so that's not a problem for me.
I read everything and star it and whatever.
But if you are one of those people who has like 10,000 unread emails on your phone, they recommend that you go through that and organize it. And so the way that he does it, I think specifically, is he has emails, like 4 categories for his emails. So he has a needs response category, needs review, awaiting response, and then everything else. So essentially what he does is he'll take his emails and I guess put them into the category. So like he'll respond to certain things. If he's waiting for a response, he'll put it in that category. If he already finished what he needed to do with that email, then he'll put it into that category. And so basically just trying to keep everything organized so you know where everything is at and you know how to find things quicker. That way you're not just kind of digging through a whole bunch of random things.
And when it comes to your having physical copies of all of your documents, he recommends basically getting a big folder where you can make individualized folders within that. So most of the time you would want like a fireproof case or something like that. You put all these documents in, worst case scenario, so you'll always have that available. You want to separate it, your legal documents, financial documents, whether it's like your insurances, all those kind of things as well. In your legal documents, you want to put like your will, trust, all those kind of things. And you also want to have a student loan debt folder as well, especially if you're going for a PSLF, which is basically when you have to work or you have to make a certain amount of payments while working for a public company in order to get your loans forgiven, because you want to keep track of each one of those payments. And you want physical copies of that if you can have it, because, government and things, not the best when it comes to organization. So you want to make sure that you have all those documents for yourself.
You don't have to do a folder system, but he recommends doing whatever system will work for you. However, you will remember to find them and use them, do that. But folders is probably the easiest way, like the accordion file.
Yeah,
That's probably the easiest way to keep everything all in one place and know where everything is exactly at. Moving on to chapter 4 is all about understanding the flow of money. So essentially budgeting.
My favorite.
Yeah, it is your
Good
favorite.
times.
So basically, he talks about budgeting as looking at it as a good thing versus a negative thing. A lot of people look at it as like, oh, you hear budget and you think of restraints and like, I can't do this. I can only pay bills and that's it. And he's trying to get you to understand that budgeting is to help you not only pay your bills, of course, but to also spend your, not spend it, save your money, and then also invest it to help you reach whatever your goals are. So whatever your ideal lifestyle is that you're wanting to achieve, the budgeting is what's going to help you get there over time.
I mean, I look at budgeting as freedom, honestly. Sounds kind of counterintuitive, but the way that I say that is once you are putting money where you know it needs to go, that money's out of your pocket, basically. Whatever money's left is free game. You do whatever you want. You do what you love to do. You do what you enjoy. And so I make sure that from that standpoint, that's the way I think about it, at least. That gives me peace of mind knowing that everything that needs to be handled is handled. And it doesn't matter what I do with this money because it's not allocated to anything, so I can do what I want.
Clearly, you know who likes to budget out of us too.
Freedom.
So, yeah, basically, like he was saying, you're budgeting, you're trying to make sure everything goes to its proper spot, and then whatever is left, that's what they recommend as well. Like, don't look at it as just solely spending on your bills, but also, like, after you have all that taken care of and everything's gone to where it needs to go to, like, use your money to do things that you enjoy. You're supposed to be ideally creating the life that you're wanting. And so creating the life that you want is not just, I pay bills and that's it. Like there's more to it than that. So if you're starting out with making a budget, the first thing you'll want to do is look back at previous months, like your last month, 2, 3 months, and kind of just see where you've spent money. Yeah. You can also...
I was saying it might shock you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, geez, what happened?
You can also, if you don't do that, you can also just look at like, okay, coming up this next month, 2 months, 3 months, I'm going to pay attention to where I'm spending money. So either way, it doesn't matter. But you're wanting to basically just get a clear idea of like, where's my money going to? How much am I paying for stuff? And like you were saying, like you might see like, dang, I really spent that much on food.
Yes,
Like,
yes, you did. You go into Chick-fil-A every other day. Yes, you did.
worry about yourself. So yeah, so you're just trying to basically, at this point, it's not to like, oh, I feel guilty or feel bad about what I'm doing. It's just to help you see how much money you are spending on every single part of your life, whether that's eating out, buying stuff, bills, whatever, because you're wanting to see that first to know where to go to next with your budget. After you've done that, then you can kind of get an idea of like, okay, now I'm going to break down every single thing I pay for every month and see like, this is about how much it costs for this. This is about how much it costs for that. And so you're going to want to have a name for everything. You don't want to put miscellaneous because
it's gonna be a bunch of random nonsense.
Yeah, you'll just have a whole bunch of random things like Amazon's in there, and then Chick-fil-A's in there, and Starbucks is in there. So like,
it's like not the case. Yeah.
Everything needs to have a category like utilities, rent, car, phone, Amazon purchases,
groceries, food,
whatever
it is. Yeah,
whatever it is you like to do every single month, you need to just write it out, and then looking at what you were spending every month, you can kind of get a better idea of like a rough number that would go with each thing. And so once you've done that, your goal ideally is to try to stick to it. So if you say like, I'm only going to do $100 for just spending on fast food, then your goal is to hopefully stay within that $100. And I like to, well, I guess we kind of both do, at the end of the month, you kind of go back Well, I guess we don't really do this.
No, not as much. Unless something happens and we're like, oh, we spent way too much. What happened?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Then we go back.
But you can go back and see, I guess initially when you're trying to get used to it, you can go back and see like how close you were to sticking with it. And then that helps you know like, okay, I need to increase this one and maybe decrease this one, or I can take this one off. That will help you as well. So it's kind of just a lot of like trial and error until you finally get a consistent amount that you spend on stuff every single month.
Yeah, and what I would use if we were wanting to look back at stuff is I use Mint mainly because it's free and it just does what it needs to do. It can attach to your account and it basically can put things into certain categories for you. And that's just a quick and easy way to just go back and see like, oh, I spent way too much money in this particular category, and it's automated for you, so you don't have to really go back and do a lot of maneuvering. So that's much quicker altogether. And also understand that when you're doing your budget, it gets much easier as time goes on, because you get to the point where you already know what you're going to spend on certain things each month. We spend maybe 5-10 minutes. We don't really spend much time anymore on budgeting, on the budget itself, because it's all pretty much standard. Like we know each month this is what we're going to do. We know what amount to work for us for many categories. And so once you kind of figure that part out, budgeting really takes 5-10 minutes a week, which is not bad.
Yeah, there's plenty of ways to budget too. Like we have 2 different ways that we budget.
Yeah.
The important thing is just like if you're married, you come together and you talk about your budget. You don't want one person that's making the budget, another person's like, yeah, cool, I'll just go along with whatever you put, because that person's not going to actually stick to it, and then it's just going to cause issues. So ideally, you just want both of you to come together, look at everything, and collectively agree on something. I do my budget in my notes. I just write out like, this is the date of when the bills start for this pay period, and this is when it ends, and then I write down all of the bills and how much they cost. He does his on like a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm an Excel numbers type dude, so I do a spreadsheet.
It doesn't matter. Either way, however you feel comfortable doing it, if you want to write it on a piece of paper, doesn't matter. But take the time to look over it together.
Yeah, you can go old school and go to Dave Ramsey route, where you go with the envelope system, where you're putting, literally you're taking out cash and you're putting certain money in certain envelopes. If you find out that you're like spending way too much money in like random other things, like put it in an envelope. You can't spend what's not in the envelope. So
something else they recommend doing is that you give names to different accounts that you have. So they don't recommend like necessarily having multiple banks for different stuff, because that can be a little hard to track. It's kind of better to stick with one bank and just maybe have different accounts with that one bank. But you're going to want to name your accounts. So like you'll obviously have a checking and a savings account. But let's say like your goal is to save for a house. For us, we called our savings account house savings, so that we knew like that money is specifically for a house. When it was for the car, then we called it car savings. So whatever it is that you are saving for or planning to do, title that account with something related to what it is you want to do, because then that way that kind of helps you not to pull from it. If you see like it says, oh, trip to Italy, you're probably not going to be like, I need to take $20 out of there so I can go eat out somewhere. Yeah, so that can help you also like hopefully stick to your budget a little bit better as well.
Yeah, and if you are looking for a new bank, I think Ally has a good system where you don't have to have multiple accounts. Basically, you can have like one savings account, but within that, you can label different minor accounts within that. And so you can put different names to different parts of your money without having to have multiple accounts. So that's something that was definitely a good thing for them to do.
And then the last recommendation that they made is like having a sinking fund is what they call it. So basically that fund is for things that are kind of hard to plan for or prepare for. So for example, Christmas time. Usually everybody waits till the last minute. Christmas comes around, it's like November, December, and you're like, crap, I gotta buy gifts for all these people and I did not save up, or I don't even have money for it now. So what they recommend is your sinking fund is for things like that. So let's say if you're using it for Christmas, they would recommend that you pick whatever your amount is. So like if it was $500, you would break that up into 12 months. So whatever that amount is for every month, by the time you get to the day when you need to use it, it would already be there. And then if there's extra money in there that you don't need, you would just basically transfer it back over to your checking account to just use on whatever. So that fund is just kind of helping you plan ahead so that whenever that thing comes up, you're not like stuck. Yeah. The same thing like with your, I think it's your car tax or property tax, whatever, property for cars. Stuff, yeah. That always, for us, it always comes in December and January, one of those 2 months. And it's like right around Christmas time. And so the sinking fund, you could do that for that. You know kind of what a general cost is for your car tax or property tax. So just put, $20 a month aside for that, so that way when it does come up, you're not surprised and you're ready to go for that.
One last thing that was recommended was also automate your bills. Main reason is it just is one more thing off of your plate. As a physician, the more things you can get off your plate, the better. It makes things so much easier. I would still say to make sure that you're still looking at it, to making sure that you're not getting charged some ridiculous extra fees for something or getting charged for something that you don't need. And so definitely,
or making sure that it actually came out, because that's happened to us where we like have it scheduled and then it's like for whatever reason they didn't take it out. Now they want to charge us a late fee.
True. It does happen. So make sure that you are still checking up on it, but having automated bills is just something that's easy and quick to do. But so those are kind of some of the main things that we're talking about in these 2 chapters here. But we'll see you guys in the next video.